The message arrived on a Tuesday morning, when Ambassador Kim Soo-jin was drinking her coffee in the United Earth Defense Council chambers. The quantum transmission burst through every communication system on Earth at exactly 9:47 GMT. Every screen, every device, every piece of technology that could display text suddenly showed the same words in perfect English. Attention, primitive species designated human. The galactic hegemony has reached a final decision regarding your continued existence. Kim Soo-jin dropped her coffee cup. The ceramic shattered on the marble floor. Around the massive circular chamber, 200 representatives from every nation on Earth stared at their devices in stunned silence. The message continued, scrolling across every screen on the planet. You have 7 standard rotations to accept complete surrender. Failure to comply will result in the sterilization of your species and homeworld. Chancellor Park Min-woo stood slowly from his chair at the center of the chamber. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his hands shook slightly as he reached for the emergency protocols button. Red lights began flashing throughout the building as the highest level of planetary alert activated. "Ladies and gentlemen," Park Min-woo said quietly, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics, "it appears our time of reckoning has arrived." Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's chief xenobiologist, stood from her seat in the science section. Her long black hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and her white lab coat looked out of place among the formal diplomatic uniforms around her. "Chancellor, we knew this day might come. The hegemony has been watching us for decades." Kim Soo-jin walked slowly to the center of the chamber, her heels clicking on the polished stone floor. As Earth's primary ambassador to alien species, she had spent the last 15 years trying to prevent exactly this moment. "The hegemony consists of 12 major species," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "The Zephyrians, with their crystalline technology. The Krex Empire, with their military might. The Mantoid Collectives, with their hive minds. And 9 others, each more advanced than humanity." She paused and looked around the chamber at the faces of Earth's leaders. Some looked afraid. Others looked angry. A few looked resigned. Together, they control over 60% of known galactic space. Their combined fleet numbers more than 50,000 warships. Captain Lee Hyun-soo stepped forward from the military section. His uniform was crisp, and his expression was calm, but everyone in the chamber could see the tension in his shoulders. "Our latest intelligence reports show the hegemony fleet massing at the edge of our solar system. They arrived 3 days ago while maintaining radio silence." "How many ships?" asked Representative Williams from the North American Federation. Lee Hyun-soo's jaw tightened slightly. "Initial scans suggest approximately 47,000 vessels. Everything from small fighters to dreadnoughts capable of destroying moons." A murmur of fear rippled through the chamber. Earth's entire defense fleet consisted of just over 2,000 ships. Even with their most advanced weapons and shields, the odds were hopeless. Dr. Chen stepped forward again. "We need to understand what we're facing. The Zephyrians alone possess energy weapons that can tear through our strongest armor like paper. The Krex have soldiers that are genetically engineered for war from birth. The Mantoids can coordinate millions of drones with perfect precision. What do they want from us?" asked Representative Singh from the Asian Coalition. Kim Soo-jin pulled up a holographic display showing the full text of the hegemony's demands. Her voice remained steady as she read, "Complete cessation of all human expansion beyond the Sol system. Surrender of all advanced technology, particularly our AI systems and quantum computers. Mandatory relocation of 80% of the human population to designated containment worlds under hegemony supervision." The chamber erupted in angry voices. Representatives shouted over each other, demanding answers, suggesting impossible plans, refusing to accept defeat. Park Min-woo raised his hand for silence, but the noise continued for several minutes. "Enough!" Lee Hyun-soo's command voice cut through the chaos like a blade. The chamber fell silent. Arguing among ourselves will not change our situation. The captain walked to the center of the chamber and stood next to Kim Soo-jin. There is something you all need to know. Something that has been classified at the highest levels for 20 years. Dr. Chen's eyes widened slightly. She knew what was coming. Project Blackstar. Lee Hyun-soo said quietly. For the past 2 decades, humanity has been working on something the hegemony knows nothing about. Not a weapon, not a shield. Something much more dangerous to species who rule through fear and domination. He activated a hidden panel on the chamber's main console. A new holographic display appeared, showing a complex web of interconnected nodes spreading across human space. Every human colony, every ship, every settlement. All connected through quantum entanglement technology that we have kept secret from the galaxy. Representative Martinez from South America leaned forward. Connected? How? What kind of technology? Dr. Chen stepped forward. Not technology, exactly. Human consciousness itself. We discovered that human emotions and thoughts create measurable quantum effects. When humans truly connect with each other, those effects can span impossible distances. You're talking about telepathy, said Representative Johnson skeptically. Not telepathy, Doctor. Chen replied. Something much more powerful. Collective human will made manifest. When 12 billion humans focus their thoughts and emotions on the same goal, the effects can reach across space itself. Right. Lee Hyun-soo nodded grimly. We've never tested Blackstar at full power. We've never had reason to. But, if humanity faces extinction, if our children are threatened, if our freedom is at stake. He paused and looked around the chamber. The combined determination of every human alive becomes something that can touch the stars themselves. Kim Soo-jin felt her communication device vibrate. A new message had arrived from the hegemony fleet. The words appeared on the main display for everyone to see. Your response time grows short, humans. Surrender now and face slavery. Resist and face extinction. Choose quickly. Chancellor Park Min-woo stood slowly. His voice was quiet but carried clearly through the chamber. Ambassador Kim, please prepare a response to the hegemony. What should I tell them, sir? Park Min-woo looked around the chamber one final time. Every face looked back at him, waiting for the words that would determine humanity's fate. Tell them that humanity respectfully declines their generous offer. Tell them we have prepared our own response. Kim Soo-jin's fingers flew across her communication console. The message was simple and would reach the hegemony fleet in seconds. As the transmission went out, Lee Hyun-soo activated another hidden console. Blackstar protocol is now active. All human colonies have been notified. The invitation has been sent. Through the chamber's windows, they could see the stars beginning to change. 20 years earlier, Dr. Jung Min-ah made the discovery that would change everything. She was working late in her laboratory on Luna Base 7, studying brain scans from the first human colonists who had traveled beyond the solar system. The scans showed something impossible. Dr. Choi, you need to see this, she called to her colleague. Dr. Choi Sung-ho was a psychologist who specialized in the effects of long-distance space travel on human minds. He walked over to her workstation, carrying 2 cups of coffee. What did you find? He asked, setting a cup next to her keyboard. Jung Min-ah pointed at the brain scan on her monitor. This colonist was on New Singapore, 47 light-years from Earth. These scans were taken exactly at the moment his daughter was born here on Luna. Choi Sung-ho studied the image. The brain showed intense activity in areas associated with joy and emotional connection. The timing could be coincidental. That's what I thought, Jung Min-ah said. She brought up another scan. But look at this. His wife's brain scan, taken at exactly the same moment. Same activity patterns. Identical emotional response. But she was on Earth when their daughter was born. Dr. Choi set down his coffee cup carefully. You're suggesting some kind of instantaneous emotional connection across light years? I'm suggesting that human consciousness might work differently than we thought. Jung Min-ah brought up more files. I've found 17 similar cases. Parents and children. Married couples. Close friends. When one experiences intense emotion, the other responds instantly, regardless of distance. Dr. Lisa Zhang, the team's quantum physicist, joined them at the workstation. Her short black hair was messy from running her hands through it, which meant she had been working on complex equations for hours. Are you talking about quantum entanglement in biological systems? Jung Min-ah nodded. But not just entanglement. Something more complex. Human empathy seems to create measurable quantum effects. When humans truly care about each other, their neural patterns synchronize across impossible distances. 6 months later, they had their first real breakthrough. Volunteers, Kim Ji-hoon and Anna Petrov, had agreed to participate in long-distance consciousness experiments. Kim Ji-hoon was stationed on Proxima Station, 4 light-years from Earth. Anna Petrov remained in the laboratory on Luna. Connection established, Anna said, her voice dreamy as the experimental equipment activated. Her brainwaves immediately synchronized with Kim Ji-hoon's, despite the vast distance between them. Jung Min-ah watched the readouts in amazement. Mr. Kim, can you describe what you're experiencing? I can feel Anna's emotions. Kim Ji-hoon's voice came through the communication system. But it's more than that. I can sense her thoughts, her memories. It's like we're sharing the same mind. Anna nodded slowly, her eyes still closed. I can see through his eyes. I can feel the artificial gravity on his station. I know what he had for breakfast this morning. Anna. Dr. Choi checked the quantum field measurements. The energy readings are off the charts. This isn't just telepathy. They're actually sharing consciousness. The experiments continued for 3 years. They discovered that the connection was voluntary and required genuine emotional trust. It was dynamic, allowing for complex thought-sharing and cooperative problem-solving. Most importantly, it could include multiple people simultaneously. We're not creating a hive mind, Jung Min-ah explained to the secret committee that oversaw their research. Human consciousness doesn't work like the mantoid collectives. Our connections are chosen, not forced. Each person maintains their individual identity while sharing experiences with others. General Park Jin-woo, who would later become an admiral, leaned forward in his chair. What are the practical applications? Dr. Zhang activated a holographic display showing their latest test results. A group of 50 connected humans can solve problems faster than our most advanced computers. They can coordinate complex tasks across vast distances without any delay. Most importantly, they can combine their emotional strength to overcome fear and despair. Emotional strength? Asked Director Song Hae-jin from the Intelligence Council. Courage, determination, hope, Dr. Choi explained. When humans face impossible odds alone, they often give up. But when they know they're not alone, when they can feel the support and determination of others, they become capable of extraordinary things. 5 years later, Project Blackstar began in earnest. Every human colony secretly installed quantum consciousness linking equipment. Volunteers from across human space trained to maintain the connections. Most importantly, they discovered that the quantum effects became stronger as more humans joined the network. Captain Lee Hyun-soo, then a lieutenant, oversaw the military applications. We're not building a weapon, he told his team. We're building something much more powerful. We're building unity. The first full-scale test involved 1 million humans across 50 colonies. Dr. Jung Min-ah, now the project director, coordinated from the main facility on Luna. All stations report ready, initiating full Blackstar protocol. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. 1 million human minds connected in a web of shared consciousness. Every person could feel the strength and determination of every other person. Fear disappeared. Doubt vanished. For the first time in human history, an entire population truly understood what it meant to stand together. Remarkable, Dr. Zhang whispered, watching the energy readings spike beyond anything they had ever measured. The quantum field is affecting local space-time. We're detecting gravitational anomalies around every connected colony. But the most amazing discovery came from an unexpected source. The quantum fields, generated by connected human consciousness, were affecting electromagnetic radiation throughout local space. When humans focused their thoughts together, their emotions could be detected by any civilization with sensitive enough equipment. We're accidentally broadcasting human feelings to the galaxy, Doctor, Choi reported. Joy, hope, determination, love. Every emotion the network experiences is being transmitted through quantum fields. Jung Min-ah realized the implications immediately. Any species monitoring our space will know exactly what humans are feeling. They'll sense our emotions long before they meet us in person. 81b, 81. We contingent, 81. Over the following years, they refined the system. By the time the hegemony delivered their ultimatum, every human settlement was connected to Blackstar. 12 billion humans across hundreds of worlds, all capable of sharing their thoughts, emotions, and determination instantly. The secret was not the technology. The secret was what made humans different from every other species in the galaxy. Where other civilizations had evolved through competition and conquest, humanity had developed through cooperation and mutual support. Their greatest strength was not their weapons or their intelligence. Their greatest strength was their ability to truly care about each other. Dr. Jung Min-ah, now in her 70s, stood in the main control room as Captain Lee activated Blackstar Protocol. Around her, technicians prepared to send an invitation to every human alive. Remember, she said quietly, this is not a demand. This is an invitation. An invitation to show the galaxy what humanity really means. The invitation went out through quantum channels to 12 billion human minds. Your species faces extinction. Your children are threatened. Your freedom is at stake. Will you stand together? The response was immediate. Across human space, every man, woman, and child felt the call. Not an order from their government, but a request from their family. A request to share their strength with others who needed it. 12 billion hearts began beating as one. The secret humanity had kept for 20 years was finally ready to be revealed. Admiral Vexkar of the Krex Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, and watched Earth grow larger on the main screen. His 4 arms moved across multiple control panels as he coordinated the largest military force in galactic history. 50,000 ships surrounded the small blue planet, like a metal storm cloud. All fleet formations report ready, announced his tactical officer, a younger Krex warrior whose scales still showed the bright colors of inexperience. Human defensive positions have been identified and targeted. Vexkar's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. The humans had only 2,000 ships defending their homeworld. Even their most advanced weapons would barely scratch his dreadnought's armor. Signal the Zephyrian contingent. Begin electromagnetic pulse bombardment of their communication networks. On the crystalline command ship Geometric Perfection, Science Officer Kethra activated her species' most advanced jamming technology. The Zephyrians had evolved as living crystals, their minds working like organic computers. They had calculated every possible human response to the invasion. Victory was mathematically certain. Human communication networks are now 73% disrupted. Kethra reported through the quantum link that connected all hegemony ships. Her voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Defensive coordination should be impossible within 6 standard minutes. Commander Zinthara, of the Deep Current, listened from her water-filled command chamber aboard the vessel's silent depths. Her species had evolved in the deepest ocean trenches of their homeworld, where no light had ever penetrated. Their technology was designed for perfect stealth and surprise attacks. My scouts report no unusual human activity. They appear to be accepting their fate. The mantoid hive queens coordinated their swarms through genetic programming. Thousands of drone fighters moved in perfect formation, their insect-like ships reflecting the cold light of distant stars. Queen Resizka felt the collective consciousness of her warriors, all thinking with her mind, all following her will without question. The humans cannot resist us, Vexkar announced to the combined fleet. They are a young species. They have never faced organized galactic warfare. Their surrender is inevitable. But as the hegemony fleet moved closer to Earth, something impossible began happening. It started with the star closest to the human homeworld. Sol, the yellow star that warmed Earth, began showing unusual activity. Not solar flares or magnetic storms, but something far more strange. The cosmic background radiation around the star started forming patterns. Admiral, his communications officer called urgently. We're receiving strange signals from the human star. Vexkar turned his attention to the new readings. The patterns in the radiation were clearly artificial, but no known technology could affect stellar phenomena on such a scale. Can you decode the signals? Yes, sir. They appear to be messages written in our language. The words appeared on the main screen of every ship in the hegemony fleet. Dr. Kethra's crystalline mind processed the data at incredible speed. This is impossible. No known force can manipulate cosmic radiation to create coherent messages. The energy requirements alone would exceed the output of entire civilizations. But the messages continued, and they began spreading. The star near Proxima Colony started displaying its own patterns, then the stars around New Singapore. Within minutes, every star in human space was broadcasting the same message in every known galactic language. We are humanity. We do not kneel. On Earth, 12 billion humans focused their thoughts through the Blackstar network. They were not trying to fight the approaching fleet. They were trying to communicate. Every human who had ever looked at the night sky with wonder. Every child who had dreamed of exploring the stars. Every scientist who had studied the cosmos. All of them reaching out together. Dr. Jung Min-ah monitored the quantum field readings from Luna Base. The consciousness network is generating effects we never predicted. Human emotions are somehow affecting electromagnetic radiation on a stellar scale. But the humans were not sending messages of war or threats. Instead, they shared their love of the universe itself, their wonder at the beauty of distant stars, their hope that someday all intelligent species could explore the cosmos together as friends. The messages began changing, becoming more complex. Stories appeared in the stellar radiation. Human music translated into patterns of light. Poetry, written in the language of stars themselves. Commander Zinthara watched in growing alarm as her instruments detected the impossible signals. Her species had evolved in total darkness, and the sudden appearance of organized light patterns in space itself triggered deep evolutionary fears. How are they doing this? What kind of weapon could affect entire star systems? It is not a weapon, Dr. Kethra realized, her crystalline mind calculating furiously. The humans are somehow using their collective consciousness to manipulate quantum fields on a galactic scale. But the energy source is not technological, it is biological. It is their emotions themselves. The mantoid queens felt their drone swarms becoming confused as human thoughts somehow interfered with their genetic programming. Individual drones began asking questions they had never been designed to ask. Why do we fight? Who are these humans? What do they want from us? But it was the smallest message that changed everything. A simple transmission that appeared simultaneously around every star in the galaxy. reaching every ship in the hegemony fleet at the same moment. We know you are afraid. We are afraid too. We do not have to be enemies. We are. Admiral Vex's car stared at the words on his screen. In his 200 years of military service, no enemy had ever acknowledged his fear. No opponent had ever offered understanding instead of defiance. The message continued. You have traveled far from your homes to fight us. You must miss your families. We miss our families too when we are away from them. We understand loneliness. We understand the weight of duty. We understand that sometimes warriors fight not because they want to, but because they believe they must. More messages appeared, each one personal and specific to different species in the fleet. To the Zephyrians, your mathematics are beautiful. Your crystalline cities must be wonderful to see. We would like to learn from you, and perhaps share what we have learned as well. To the Deep Current, your oceans must be peaceful in their darkness. We have oceans too, but they are touched by sunlight. Perhaps someday you could swim in our seas and we could visit yours. To the Mantoids, your unity is impressive, but we wonder if your individuals ever dream their own dreams. We believe every mind has value, even when it thinks differently from others. The stellar messages multiplied exponentially. Soon every major star system in the galaxy carried humanity's words. Not propaganda or military threats, but genuine expressions of curiosity about other species. Questions about alien art, alien music, alien hopes and dreams. They are trying to make friends with us, Dr. Kethra said, her voice filled with confusion. In the middle of their own extinction, they are trying to make friends. The hegemony fleet began showing signs of disorder. Ships broke formation as crews struggled to understand what they were experiencing. Several species had never encountered anything like genuine empathy before. The concept that an enemy might actually care about their well-being was completely foreign. Commander Zinthara reported to Admiral Vex's car. 300 of my ships are requesting permission to withdraw from battle formation. My crews are emotionally compromised. Queen Resiska's voice carried panic through the quantum link. The human thoughts are interfering with my control over the drones. Individual mantoids are developing independent consciousness. My swarm coherence is failing. Vexcar looked at the readings from his own ship. Even his hardened Krex warriors were affected. They had spent their entire lives believing that strength came from domination, that honor came from conquest. But the human messages spoke of warriors who fought to protect rather than to conquer, who found strength in defending the innocent rather than destroying the weak. On every ship in the hegemony fleet, alien minds were experiencing something they had never felt before. Genuine compassion. From an enemy who had every reason to hate them. The stars themselves had become humanity's voice, and that voice was singing not of war, but of hope. The breakdown began with Commander Zinthara's personal guard ship, Silent Hunter. The deep current vessel suddenly changed course, pulling away from the hegemony fleet formation without orders. Within minutes, 200 more deep current ships followed. Commander Zinthara, explain your ship's behavior immediately. Admiral Vexcar demanded through the quantum communication link. Zinthara's response came through as confused whispers. Her species communicated through subtle pressure changes in water, which translated poorly through mechanical systems. Admiral, my crew has experienced something unprecedented. The humans have shared memories of their oceans with us. Shared memories? That is impossible. I do not understand it either, Zinthara admitted. But my navigators are experiencing visions of seas touched by starlight. They have never seen light dancing through water. For species that evolved in absolute darkness, this beauty is overwhelming our minds. Doctor, Kethra's crystalline voice cut through the communication channels from the science vessel. Admiral, I am detecting massive quantum field fluctuations around the human ships. Their consciousness network appears to be expanding beyond their own species. They are somehow sharing sensory experiences directly with our crews. On the mantoid carrier Eternal Swarm, Chaos spread through the drone bay as individual warriors began refusing orders for the first time in their species' history. Queen Reska watched in horror as her perfectly ordered collective began falling apart. Unit designation 7742A, return to formation immediately, she commanded, through genetic programming. But the drone, who had begun calling himself Kothek after experiencing human concepts of individual identity, did not obey. Why do we fight, Queen Mother? These humans offer friendship. They show us visions of choice and freedom. Why have we never been allowed to choose? You are not designed to choose. Reska replied, panic creeping into her mental commands. You are designed to serve the collective good. But what if the collective good is wrong? Kothek asked. Around him, hundreds of other drones began voicing similar questions. What if peace serves us better than war? What if cooperation achieves more than conquest? The infection of independent thought spread through the mantoid swarms like wildfire. For the first time in their species' history, individual mantoids were experiencing the human concept of personal choice. Admiral Vexkar attempted to maintain fleet discipline, but even his own Krex warriors were showing signs of emotional compromise. Through the human consciousness network, they were experiencing memories of Krex who had chosen protection over conquest, who had found honor in defending the weak rather than destroying them. This is psychological warfare, he announced to his bridge crew. The humans are using some form of mind control to weaken our resolve. But his weapons officer, a veteran of 40 campaigns, set down his targeting controls. Admiral, with respect, this does not feel like mind control. It feels like understanding. For the first time, I understand why I have spent my life fighting. To bring order to the galaxy. Vexkar replied automatically. No, sir. To protect my family. To keep my children safe from threats. But these humans are not a threat to my children. They are showing me memories of human warriors who fought for the same reasons I fight. Who chose to defend, rather than attack. On Earth, Dr. Jung Min-ah monitored the Blackstar network as 12 billion human minds reached out across space. But something unexpected was happening. The quantum connection was becoming bidirectional. Humans were not just sharing their experiences with the alien fleet. They were receiving alien memories in return. Dr. Choi, look at these readings, she called to her colleague. We're getting feedback from the hegemony ships. Their consciousness patterns are mixing with ours. Dr. Choi Sung-ho studied the neural activity patterns on his monitors. The humans connected to Blackstar are experiencing alien emotions. They're learning about the fears and motivations of their enemies. Jung Min-ah felt tears on her cheeks as she experienced a memory that was not her own. A young deep-current mother, separated from her children by military duty, longing to return to the deep trenches of her homeworld. The alien emotion was so similar to human homesickness that it was almost identical. Captain Lee Hyun-soo received urgent reports from across the human fleet. Sir, our crews are reporting direct emotional contact with alien personnel. They're experiencing hegemony memories and feelings. What are they learning? Lee asked. That most of the hegemony species didn't choose to join this fleet, Captain. The Zephyrians are here because their perfect mathematical society cannot tolerate the chaos that humans represent. The Deep Current joined the alliance because climate change destroyed their homeworld, and they need new territories. The Mantoids are essentially slaves to their own queens. The revelation spread through the human consciousness network instantly. 12 billion people suddenly understood that the massive fleet had not come to destroy them out of hatred, but out of fear and desperation. Many of the alien species were as trapped by their circumstances as humanity was trapped by the ultimatum. Chancellor Park Min-woo made the decision that would reshape galactic history. Instead of pressing humanity's psychological advantage, he chose compassion over victory. Dr. Young, can the Blackstar network transmit a specific message to the hegemony fleet? Yes, Chancellor. The quantum connection is stable enough for complex communication. Then send this message. We see your pain. We understand your fears. We want to help. The message reached every ship in the hegemony fleet simultaneously, but it was not transmitted through their communication systems. It appeared directly in the minds of every alien crew member, carried by the quantum fields that connected all consciousness. Commander Zinthara felt the words as gentle pressure waves in her water-filled chamber. For the first time since leaving her dying homeworld, she felt hope. Kothek and his fellow mantoid rebels experienced the message as a warmth they had never known. The sensation of being valued as individuals rather than tools. Dr. Kethra's crystalline mind processed the offer with mathematical precision and found it statistically improbable, but emotionally compelling. Admiral Vex Carr read the message on his command screen, but he also felt it as a direct emotional transmission. The humans were not offering conditional surrender or demanding tribute. They were offering friendship to beings who had come to destroy them. Admiral, his communications officer reported, "We are receiving thousands of additional messages from the human fleet. Detailed proposals for cooperation, offers of assistance, invitations to cultural exchange." Vex's car studied the incoming data. The humans were offering to share their agricultural technology with the deep current to help restore their dying oceans. They proposed scientific collaboration with the Zephyrians to combine mathematical precision with human creativity. They even suggested educational programs to teach mantoid drones about individual rights and personal choice. "They are offering to help solve our problems instead of simply defeating us," he said quietly. His tactical officer looked up from his console. "Sir, what are your orders? Do we continue the attack?" Vex Carr looked around his bridge at the faces of warriors who had spent their lives believing that strength came from domination. But through the human consciousness network, they had experienced memories of a different kind of strength. Strength that came from protecting others, from choosing cooperation over conquest, from finding honor in peace rather than war. "Signal the fleet," he said finally. "Suspend all offensive operations. I want to speak directly with the human leadership." Throughout the hegemony fleet, similar decisions were being made. Species that had never experienced genuine empathy were discovering what it felt like to be truly understood by former enemies. The galaxy's first lesson in humanity was not about human technology or human weapons. It was about human compassion and its power to transform even the most hardened hearts. The war that was supposed to end with humanity's extinction was about to become something entirely different. The beginning of a new kind of galactic civilization. 3 months after the fleet arrived at Earth, Ambassador Kim Soo-jin stood in what was once the United Earth Defense Council chambers. The room had been transformed into something unprecedented in galactic history. The first truly integrated interspecies diplomatic center. Where human representatives had once sat alone, now 12 different species worked side by side. Doctor, Doctor, Doctor. Kethra's crystalline form caught the light from windows that had been specially designed to accommodate both human visual needs and Zephyrian photosynthetic requirements. Commander Zinthara's mobile water tank allowed her to participate directly in meetings, rather than through remote communication. Most remarkably, Kothek sat at a desk marked with his chosen name rather than his drone designation number. The agricultural restoration project on Deep Current Prime is exceeding all expectations, Kim Soo-jin reported to the assembled representatives. Human hydroponic techniques, combined with Zephyrian mathematical modeling, have restored 60% of the damaged ocean ecosystems. Commander Zinthara's translated voice carried notes of wonder that her species had rarely expressed. "My people swim in seas, touched by artificial sunlight for the first time in 3 generations. The kelp forests grow in patterns more beautiful than our oldest songs describe." The transformation had not been easy. When Admiral Vex Carr first requested permission to land his fleet on Earth, rather than return to Krek space, panic had spread through human governments. 50,000 alien warships requesting sanctuary was not a situation covered in any diplomatic manual. But Dr. Young Min-ah's research had evolved far beyond the original Blackstar project. Working with alien scientists, They discovered that consciousness itself might be a fundamental force of the universe, like gravity or electromagnetism. The stellar messages had not been purely human achievement. They were the cosmos, responding to genuine unity and hope. The quantum consciousness field appears to be strengthening, Dr. Lisa Zhang reported from her new laboratory, which she now shared with Zephyrian mathematicians and mantoid engineers. Each species that joins the network adds new capabilities we never imagined. Kothek, who had become the first mantoid to choose his own career path, raised one of his forearms. Dr. Zhang, my former queen wishes to know if individual consciousness development can be reversed, if needed. 8C. 1. 8C. End quote. Tell Queen Resiska that consciousness expansion appears to be permanent, Dr. Jungmina replied gently. But also tell her that individuality does not require the loss of community. Humans have maintained both personal identity and cooperative behavior for thousands of years. The changes were most dramatic among the Kreks. Admiral Vex Carr had returned to his homeworld, carrying revolutionary ideas about honor and strength. The Kreks military caste, after experiencing human memories of warriors who protected the innocent, had begun questioning whether endless conquest truly brought glory. General Park Jin-woo sends this report from New Kreks, Captain Lee Hyun-soo announced. He had been promoted to admiral and now oversaw the Galactic Cooperation Initiative. Former Kreks war fleets are now providing protection services for peaceful colonies throughout the Outer Rim. They have found that defending the innocent brings them greater satisfaction than conquering the weak. Dr. Kethra's crystalline chimes indicated pleased agreement. The mathematical principles underlying this behavioral change are fascinating. Cooperation generates exponentially more positive outcomes than competition, particularly when measured across multiple generations. The most surprising development had come from the mantoid collectives. Queen Reska, after losing control of her drones to individual consciousness, had made an unprecedented decision. She had chosen to give up her genetic programming control entirely, allowing her entire species to develop personal identity. The former queen wishes to be called Dr. Reska now, Kothek translated during their weekly reports. She has decided to study human concepts of voluntary leadership rather than genetic dominance. She believes that chosen cooperation is more efficient than forced obedience. But the greatest changes were happening beyond Earth. Throughout the galaxy, species that had been subjects of the hegemony were experiencing their first taste of freedom in centuries. The stellar message network, now maintained by volunteers from dozens of species, carried news of liberation and hope to the farthest corners of known space. Young Park So-young, granddaughter of former Chancellor Park Min-woo, worked as a cultural liaison between human children and alien youth. At 15, she was part of the first generation to grow up in an integrated galactic society. The Zephyrian students are teaching us crystalline mathematics, she reported during a youth council meeting. And we are teaching them about human creativity and imagination. Together, we solved a physics problem that adult scientists had been working on for months. Her report was transmitted instantly through the consciousness network to human colonies and alien settlements throughout local space. Children across the galaxy were growing up as friends rather than enemies, learning from each other's perspectives. Admiral Lee Hyun-soo stood at the observation deck of the orbital station humanity had built to coordinate interspecies cooperation. Through the transparent aluminum windows, he could see ships from a dozen different civilizations working together on projects that would have been impossible for any single species. The galaxy is changing, he said to Dr. Jungmina, who had joined him to watch the construction of the first truly integrated space facility. Humanity is changing too, she replied. We thought our greatest gift was our ability to connect with each other. But it turns out our real gift was our ability to help others connect with themselves. A new signal appeared on the communication console. Another species The ethereal collective from the far edge of the galaxy was requesting contact. They had detected the stellar message network and wanted to join the growing community of cooperative civilizations. Jung Min-ah smiled as she activated the response protocol. "Welcome to the galactic family," she transmitted through the quantum consciousness network. "We have so much to learn from each other." The message traveled instantly across hundreds of light years, carried by the combined consciousness of billions of beings who had chosen cooperation over conquest, understanding over fear, and hope over despair. On Earth, in the transformed council chambers, Kothek was teaching human children about mantoid engineering while learning human poetry. Commander Zinthara shared stories of the deep ocean while listening to human music. Dr. Kethra calculated the mathematical beauty of human art while creating crystalline sculptures inspired by human emotions. Outside the windows, the stars literally burned brighter. The quantum consciousness fields, generated by the galactic community, were affecting local space-time, causing stellar radiation to carry traces of hope and wonder that could be detected by any species sensitive enough to listen. The Blackstar that had arrived was not a weapon of destruction. It was the light of consciousness itself. The power of minds choosing to reach out rather than strike out. The strength that came from building bridges instead of walls. Park So-young looked up at the night sky from her balcony in Seoul. The stars seemed to pulse with gentle light, as if the universe itself was breathing with the rhythm of billions of hearts beating together. Human hearts, Krex hearts, Zephyrian energy patterns, deep current pressure waves, and mantoid neural networks, all synchronized in the greatest symphony ever composed. Tomorrow, she would join the first mixed-species exploration mission to the Andromeda Galaxy. Humans and aliens working together to discover what wonders waited in the vast unknown. Not as conquerors, but as friends. The galaxy had ordered Earth to kneel. Instead, humanity had taught the galaxy how to stand together, and that lesson would burn bright in the hearts of countless civilizations for generations to come. The stars had listened to humanity's message of hope. Now they sang that message back to the cosmos. And the song was more beautiful than anyone had ever dared to dream.